This episode of The Inspiration Show is so incredibly special. I have the absolute honor of welcoming Jessica and Diane, the brilliant minds and compassionate hearts behind the Olivia O Musical. Jessica and Diane have been extraordinary mentors to me, guiding me, encouraging me, and showing me what it means to create art with a purpose. I have so much love and admiration for you both, and it truly means the world to have you here and share your story, your craft, and your mission. So thank you so, so much for being here.
Oh, I'm
Thank
so
you,
glad to be
Allison.
here.
Yeah, we're just thrilled.
We're just thrilled to be here. Thank you, Allison.
So, when did you both first fall in love with theater?
Mhm.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. A
I've been a
long time
theater.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you're forgetting how old we are, man. Like, oh, I should say me. Sorry, Jessica.
Well,
No,
no, we both
you,
are.
you know what? I fell in love with theater as a kid in Kamloops, BC, Western Canada Theatre Company, sitting at a show. I think it was, I don't know if this was just a line in the show or it was actually the name of the show. It was called I'll Be Back Before Midnight. It was like a
Mhm.
murder mystery kind of thing. And I could just remember being in the audience like utterly terrified but utterly excited at the same time. Like it was like nothing I just remember that moment. Like I'd seen movies before and I don't know and I just that moment of I was probably about 12 or something. And maybe it was the first sort of big adult show my parents took me to, but yeah, just that feeling of wow, it felt so real to me as a kid. And I still feel that now, like in my 50s, like it feels real. Like I still get caught up in that drama. So go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, yeah, I've been a theater person. I started off as a dancer, actually. I fell in love with dance. My mom took us to see the Radio City Rockettes. She took us to see the New York City Ballet. And then from there, she started taking us to see Broadway shows like, Cats, Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables. I mean, I've just always been a fan of storytelling, and just the magic of theater, of bringing a story to life and seeing, what motivates different characters, and then hearing the characters sing their emotions and their feelings. And then I've always been kind of like an empath, like really caring about oppressed communities and oppressed people, and to hear stories of people who are suffering and who overcome obstacles, that in particular like really spoke to me. um, so yeah, I was just like begging my parents to put me in dance class and to put me in acting class, and yeah, so I went to a performing arts high school, and then I went to NYU Tisch later on to study acting, and I've just been in this world of theater for so long, and it's really who I am at my core, is a theater, a writer and creator.
Yeah, I relate to that so much. I always think of like, who would I be without theater? Because it's been such a medium for me of like inspiration, and it's become such a special part of my life. And like you were saying, like there's absolutely nothing like live theater and watching a story unfold right before your eyes. I
Yeah,
think it is the most magical thing in the whole entire world.
Yep.
Uh,
absolutely.
So we touched on it a little bit, but can you take us back to the first time you experienced theater and how you were feeling at the time?
Mm, yes. Oh, I think for me, I think the earliest Broadway show, I think it was Cats. And just like seeing all the dancers in their costumes, like dancing, and then that song Memory, hearing
Oh,
that song performed like with such passion, and like, the melody, it just stuck with me, and the amount of passion and intensity in watching that song performed. I just knew in my heart, like, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be up on stage, and I wanted to be writing and creating these stories as well, and just creating dramatical, um, stories up on stage. I think it was Cats, but also one of the earlier ones I do remember was Les Miserables, for sure. Um, and Miss Saigon was a pretty early one.
All the
And
classics.
yeah, yeah. And then, of course, like in terms of the first musicals I read was like Guys and Dolls, and we did like a community theater production of Guys and Dolls. So that was one of the first ones I really got to know. The musicals I really got like in terms of like being in a musical was Guys and Dolls. Um, and then we did Once on This Island. We did West Side Story. Um, with the older class, they did Brigadoon. We did The Wiz at my performing arts high school. Yeah, Diane, how about you?
Oh my gosh. The very first Broadway show I saw, and I was, well, because I'm from Vancouver area. This was the first time I'd ever been to New York. I went to see Rent.
Yes.
And again, that feeling of like just that show, like it just captured that time period, right? And the AIDS crisis and uh, I feel sometimes like the whole generation now, we're so blessed with the medical advances and stuff but it's like you, I feel like saying to people, you don't remember what it was like.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was what it was, right? They just captured that sadness and loss and people coming together. I mean, it's kind of what Jessica and I bond over, that idea of people coming together to heal and to, lift up a community, right? Like, so that, just seeing that on Broadway, um, I don't even think it had come to Canada at the time, right? So it was kind of me like, I'm in New York, I gotta go see this Broadway. And that kind of like, wow, this is something. This is something. I mean, I had seen amazing theater. Fiddler on the Roof, I loved as a
Classic.
young person. A classic. That kind of again a community coming together to try to heal over things that had happened to them. So yeah, I just had to. Rent was
Yeah.
that one of those eye-opening moments for me to really see it on the big stages, what it can
Oh
do,
yeah.
right?
I
Rent,
saw.
for me, Rent was my first audition for a Broadway show.
Oh,
And I'm sure other people can relate to this, but like
yeah,
standing in line, like around the block just to get like a 30-second audition. We had just like graduated from Tisch and like I was with other, other artists, other actors and singers. We were waiting in the cold just for hours, lining up at like 9 in the morning till the afternoon to get a 30-second slot. But I just remember loving Rent as much as Diane was. It
yeah,
was that musical really impacted me in my, like 20s, like not as a child, obviously, because it deals with heavier subject matter.
yeah.
But yeah, that musical really impacted me a lot.
Yeah, I got to see Rent for the first time 3 years ago.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it
yeah,
was so impactful and so eye-opening. And like what you were saying, Diane, like watching the time involvement, because like I wasn't alive. I wasn't
yeah,
even
yeah,
thought when that
yeah,
musical
yeah.
took place.
Hmm.
And getting to watch that and see how the times have changed and like what you were saying, Jessica, with Seasons of Love. I mean, I would argue it's the most iconic moment in musical theater history ever.
For
And it's
sure.
such a gorgeous song. And I think that's what we all bonded over so much. And that's why getting to join the Olivia O team excited me so much was getting to tell these stories that heal, that make change. And I know we were talking about this earlier, but it is so special to see how musical theater has that impact. And the themes that you usually wouldn't put into a musical or that you would see depicted on stage for entertainment. It has such a positive impact that stays with you for years and years. And with Rent, it stays for generations. And that
Absolutely.
is the most powerful thing about theater. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you I can remember like listening to a musical theater song and like crying. And then
Yeah.
saying to myself, why am I crying? Like I and looking around and like I'm kind of the old like one of the and I'm like I'm just losing it over listening to some and later on it's because I realized because what they were saying, I was so relating to that particular character and that particular
Yeah.
situation, right? Like
Yeah.
um I remember it was Dear Evan Hansen and the moms were singing, right? About how they're kind of, they're just so worried about their kid and they don't know what to do about it. And they're just so kind of and I'm a mom of two boys and young men now, but at the time kind of like just that feeling of camaraderie with those what they were going through. And I think that happens with all sorts of situations, young, old, whatever, relationship issues or family issues. Like it's like I can feel that someone is putting into words exactly how I was feeling. Loved it. Love those moments, right?
I know specifically funny that you bring up Driven Hansen because that was my voice of reason. That was the first musical that I ever
Oh,
fell in
yeah.
love with. And all these years later, I've had the honor of connecting with the Broadway companies, the national tour companies, the London companies, and just seeing how it's affected so many people and changed so many lives. Like that's such a power of theater. And like what you were saying about like listening to music and just crying, like I remember when I first got the role of Natalie in Next Normal, I remember listening to the cast album just sobbing. Like I knew the show, but I didn't know the show very, very well. Like I kind of knew
Hmm.
what I was walking into. I listened to the cast album and I just started sobbing. And then I got to my first day of rehearsal and we did a read and sing through of the show and I was just bawling even more because when it comes together with that context and the
Yes.
entire puzzle of the musical comes together, there's
Hmm.
nothing like that feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
absolutely.
nothing like it. I
Oh,
always say that theater is so magical. I say that in every episode. I feel like I need it on a t-shirt or something. I got to get
yeah.
it like trademarked, but it's
Mhm.
so, so, so true. The power of theater and that magic, whether you're performing it or you're sitting in the audience, something special happens in that room. And then when you leave that theater, you're changed forever. It's so special.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, and it changes you as a performer, like if you're in it, and it changes you as an audience member as well, like witnessing it or the process of storytelling, like you delving into the character, delving into the story, it just changes you. It's a, cathartic experience. Mhm. Oops, am I freezing? Mhm.
So, how did the two of you first meet, and how did the idea of collaborating on Olivia O begin to take shape?
Well, I always have to laugh because I tell people we met the old-fashioned way through the internet. So, like, so yeah, I reached out and Jessica answered the call and like through the wonders of modern communication, I mean, we connected and we talked and it, Jessica, you could tell your side of it, but to me, it just immediately I thought, oh, okay, one, I really like this person. I feel this sense of she's talented and a sense of warmth about her, a commitment to if she's going to do something, she's going to be committed to, those things that you're looking for on a collaborator. And yeah, and through just
Yeah.
we, yeah,
There
it
was,
just
yeah,
worked.
yeah, it was
Like,
it was almost an immediate connection. Both Diane and I are activists, in particular with the immigrant issue, with the immigrant cause. We care very deeply about the way that immigrants, undocumented immigrants are treated in this country. And I myself, after graduation, I had worked for several years with the undocumented immigrant community, Latino immigrant community here in New York, advocating for them, and also as an ESL teacher, as an activist. And my first play, my first full length play, was actually about an undocumented woman from Mexico who had taken sanctuary in a church, escaped violence and poverty in her own country in order to provide for her son. So when I met Diane and I met a fellow kindred spirit who loves musicals, who loves theater, but also has a passion for this cause, it was an automatic in. I was like, yes, I want to be part of this project. Here's another person who wants to use theater for good, for social good, and to not only, to because we love Broadway, we love musicals, but also because we really care deeply about this issue. It was just like, wow, yeah. So I submitted to her some of my work samples. After she interviewed me, she read some of my work samples because I had done a couple of children's musicals. And then I submitted to her my play, and she looked it over. She read my materials, and pretty soon after that, she was like, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's collaborate." And that's kind of how the relationship was born. And she's in Canada, I'm in New York City, but we made it work over Zoom, lots of Zoom calls, lots of working sessions, writing, rewriting. And, she flew me out to Vancouver a couple times and we worked together on book and lyric. And we had a little table read. And it's been, what, 4 years now?
I guess so. Yeah, it's hard to believe, right? And we went
Yeah.
to Dallas and Philadelphia and Vancouver, and it's Yeah, when you've worked well together and you've got a passion and a good product, you make it work, right? Like,
Mhm.
Oh, my dream team.
mhm.
So, when did you discover that writing musicals and lyrics was something that truly sparked your creativity?
Hmm. Yeah, I guess, from a pretty early age, you know, my mom took us to theater and dance performances from pretty young, and I got the theater bug pretty early in my life, as a young child, and so, um, I did like local theater, um, but yeah, I just knew in my heart that this is what I wanted to do. So, ever since junior high school and high school, it was a performing arts high school, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do. Um,
See, I was a little, took me a bit longer to kind of pull it all together in the idea of a musical, which I like kind of laugh a little bit because when I was in elementary school and high school, I was a writer. Like I wanted to write stories, and it was to me, it was the storytelling and the writing aspect of it. And I wrote poetry. So I didn't think through like, hey, the poetry, it should be lyrics, right? I didn't kind of, it was like, I wrote poetry. My graduate thesis was about poetry and the healing power of words. And it was, I was a storyteller and a poet, really. And then got, I just thought at one point later in life, I got to put this together, like these skills together. That what is that? That's a musical.
mhm,
The lyrics is a form of putting poetry to music, and not pure poet. There's differences, but
mhm,
essentially, it's putting poetic words to music, and I'd always felt I was a writer and a storyteller, so why not pull it together? So, I mean, you come at these things in different ways, right? A love of theater, a love of writing, a love of storytelling, poetry, and a passion for the story and the work, right?
Mm. That's why I think that theater is the most unique art because you get to put all of the different arts together. And I
Hmm.
think that's what makes it such a standout, is it's
Yeah,
not just one thing, but it's all the different things culminated into one piece of work.
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, can you share a little bit about Olivia O and walk us through the journey from creating the show from its earliest beginnings to where it stands today?
Absolutely. It's been quite a journey for sure. Let's see. We had a table read in Vancouver. We got some great feedback from some local talent. And then we hit the drawing board again based on that feedback. We did some updating and, some rewrites. Um, and we kept on working on it for several months. And then we began the process of submitting to festivals. Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first festival we submitted to was Theater on the Verge
That's the first one we got into. I mean, we
that we got
submitted
into. Yeah.
we submitted to a lot. Yeah, Theater on the Verge in Philadelphia, which is a concert reading at their new musicals festival. So shout out to them for getting us on
Yes.
the, sometimes it just takes a they're a small community theater group and they put they
Mhm.
gave us a shot, right? And
Yeah, I think it was their inaugural
hmm
festival. It was the first
yeah.
year. So, of course, like any festival, there were kinks, along the way that we had to overcome. But, it was overall a very positive experience, and we were very thankful for it. And then from there, what was the next festival that we did? Um,
There was two kind of simultaneous. There was the She DFW, Dallas Fort Worth, and then the Spark Theater Festival in New York City. So they were
mhm,
within a few weeks of each other.
mhm.
And
Yeah, yeah.
that was a lot of work, but we got there and we did a table read again with in Dallas with the musical writers.
Mhm,
And that was we got some good feedback there. We did a cabaret show style thing at the Musical Writers Convention, and everything that you do when you're in that development stage is all a learning experience, right? It's like how did the audience react? Did they understand what we were trying to get across? How's the character development? How's the this? How are they? are
We could
we,
see on
yeah,
stage, like when we're writing it, it's different because when you see it acted out on stage, we're able to see what works really well and what might not work as well as we thought it did. Like
are
we're
they laughing at the right times?
are
Are
they
they
laughing at
crying
the
at the
right time?
right
Yeah,
times? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And then sometimes the audience is laughing at something that and I would write in my notebook. They laughed because
Yes.
I hadn't thought of it as really funny, but the way the actor did it
Hmm.
was
Right.
hilarious. So then I make a little note, right? That like, so those are the kind of, it's so important as writers to see it up on stage.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
so cool to get to see how your writing gets translated onto a stage. And it's
Hmm.
also so incredible for an actor to be in the room with the writers of the project that they're working on.
Hmm.
That is an incredible opportunity to get to see their reactions of how their work is translated.
Yes, and they
Yes.
and there was, and again, shout out to the actors in our festivals that we did because they cared. They came up and some of them had some great ideas, right? They're like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I think instead of this word, this person would say this." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Actually, yeah, that makes sense, right?" Like so you're right, Allison, like when you're involved at the early stage, like if you're doing a I don't know, Fiddler on the Roof again, or you're doing Mean. That script is set, right? Like you're just given the script and you're not going to change anything. But when you're in the room, you can interpret that character in a new way, and you could be with the writers and you can really impact. So yeah, and
Mhm.
they were a great group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
getting
we
to
were really
originate a
fortunate.
role. Yeah.
Hmm.
Originating roles and getting a script and getting to step into something that's never been done before and telling a story, especially like the story that of this musical, it is such an honor to get to see actors bring themselves to these roles and tell these important stories and stepping into that for the first time.
Hmm.
And watching something take its shape from the very beginning to where it is now, because I assume the musical ebbed and flowed at every single festival that you went to.
It,
So
It did.
that's a
yep.
really, really cool experience to see as well, especially when it's your own work.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
Yeah.
what initially inspired the creation of Olivia O?
Well,
Like
it
that.
was
Like that.
actually it just was it was pure rage. That's what's going on, separating children at the border, right? And family and separating families at the border and the human rights abuses that were going on. Like ripped from the headlines, right? Like it's happening today now. So that sense of, how the outrage, right? And at the time, my son had been in a performance of Oliver with his theater group, and I can remember really clearly that sense of, and the history of Canada and the residential schools and the separation of children from their families. I mean, it's part of our North American history, but let's just it is a big part of Canadian history and it's a stain, right? It should never have happened. And so it's that sense of, I can't believe this is happening again. This is like the 1780s in London, England, where Oliver was set. And you've got all these instances all over the world of these human rights abuses of separating children from their families over and over again. And it just seems shocking.
Hmm.
I realize this is where like it just seems shocking. Like I'm a trained counselor, right? We know what child abuse to take a child from its parents. Period.
Hmm.
Like it's well established and well known. Like so that I yeah, when people ask, I think it's that rage. And my son had been in Oliver, and I thought this is just like this. Maybe I can take a stab at it, right? And that was the very first thing. And there's my passion kind of.
Yeah, it was like her instigator. Yeah.
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 No, I
Yeah.
think it is so important to take that rage and take that fire and turn it into art. Like my favorite play, John Proctor's The Villain, there's this whole monologue at the end that when something brings you fire, you need to take that fire and use it only for warmth. And I
Mm.
think that's why I gravitated to Olivia O so much because you take that rage and you take that fire of everything that's happening that shouldn't be happening, but you use that fire for warmth. You use it for change and to instigate speaking out and singing louder as one of my wonderful friends produced. It's so, so cool and incredibly impactful to see it sung on stage rather than just a cry for help. But getting to use theater and take that art and make that a cry for help and a cry for change, that's a very important necessity that I think is so impactful for audiences.
Yes, definitely.
So, what would you say is the main message or mission behind the show, and what do you hope that audiences take away from it?
Mm. I would say the power of community coming together to fight for what's right. Against all odds, this community of activists basically stands up to this very seemingly powerful guy who's, intent on holding on to this immigrant child, Olivia, against her will, and taking advantage of young immigrant children. So this community of activists, they come together and they dedicate themselves and they work hard, day and night over a period of a few weeks, I guess. And they are reunited with Olivia, and they grow and they learn about themselves. Like one of the main characters, Isabel, she finds in this struggle that she is a leader, that she is powerful. Like she discovers herself, the leader in her, that she never would have discovered without this struggle. And of course, there's a little love story there. And, I would say it's really the power of community, not giving up when you face an obstacle. If you know in your heart that what you're fighting for is right, things will come together, and you will be successful if you work together as a team, and as a community.
Yeah.
One of the songs that Jessica wrote is called Manos al Obra, Hands to Work.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's about the community at the it's relatively early in the show. And it's when they're realizing what's happening. And it's like they're realizing the connections that they have with, they're all experiencing. Everybody's a little different. Like one person, their husband is gone, one person can't find his mother. Like they're different scenarios, but they're all realizing they're suffering from this, they're having the same issues, right? The same problems and the same. And if they come together, if they're honest and they share their stories and they let it, then they can really create something happen. So it's exactly what Jessica was saying about community and hope. And hope is not naivety, right? It's a strategy. It's a way of moving forward. You can't go anywhere without hope. You have to believe in a better world, and you have to believe there's an answer to these
Hmm.
issues, right? So that song in particular, I think is a really good example of what this show is about. It's just, I mean, I think it really symbolically kind of nails the whole message, right? Like,
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I'm so grateful for from theater is the community that it's given me and the found family that it has brought into my life. And seeing that also reflected in the show in such tough times and seeing how that community comes together, it truly reminded me of the beauty of theater itself and the beauty of the things that theater gives you. And getting to see that in a musical was so wholeheartedly beautiful.
oh,
Hmm.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, what has been your favorite part of crafting the musical, and what challenges have stretched you the most creatively?
Mm. Oh, let's start with the favorite part. Oh gosh. I think working on the finale, one of the things, because she's from Guatemala, Diane and I did a lot of research about Guatemalan traditions, in particular the weaving of the women. They went through a civil war, and one of the things that the women did as a form of healing was weaving. And they make, beautiful sweaters, beautiful handbags, beautiful bracelets, as a way of healing, and also, to sell them at the market to recover financially. But it's a big part of the Guatemalan, culture is weaving, and so we were thinking of lyric, to use that as a metaphor. Like the name of our finale is called "Weave the World." And we were really invoking that imagery of weaving together the world that we want to live in, strand by strand, string by string. So that brought me a lot of joy to be able to capture something really authentic, and unique to the Guatemalan culture, and set lyric to it, um, and set it as a metaphor for creating the world we want, creating that vision with by string, step by step. So that was a beautiful, magical um, experience for me working as a lyricist with Diane on that song, as well as Paint Me a Picture, which we rewrote like 10 times.
Oh my
But
gosh, that song.
Paint Me a Picture, but it was like, oh my
At
God,
the
it was like
end.
giving labor. But
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite songs in the show because something happened. It's a musical scene song. Something happened. It's like a passage of time throughout the song, and something very important, significant happens in that song. But that whole imagery of painting a picture, and they're sending each other their paintings and also photographs. And they're talking about the photo, paint me a picture, and it comes up later, like paint me a picture of that vision that you want to see. So those, as a lyricist and librettist, working with the metaphor and imagery and symbolism of weaving and painting, those two for me were magical experiences.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember hearing about the show for the first time and then watching it and just thinking the whole time, be the change you wish to see in the world. And
yeah.
then getting to finale with like what you were saying with the whole like weaving the string. And I thought that each performance kind of symbolizes a string, and through each performance, it starts to change the world. And it's been so special getting to watch that transform. And I'm so excited for the rest of the journey and to get to be the smallest part of it. I'm so excited.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Allison.
So, why do you feel that art, and specifically musical theater, is such a powerful medium to highlight and advocate for the message behind Olivia O?
Mm,
Wow. I mean, first of all, I think storytelling is one of the strongest ways of ever of human communication, period. Right? Like, um, if I just stand here and lecture to everybody, you're gonna just tune out and you're like, who the hell are you? Right? Like, well, what? I don't need to listen to this. And you get all, fighty. So storytelling in and of itself, you're gonna get way further if you want to affect change. Add music to that. And you're adding the heart, right? Like you're getting out of the head and you're getting into the heart. There is no other more powerful way of communication, in my opinion, and emotional and change. I don't know. Jessica nodding, but yeah,
yeah.
like that's
And also,
it.
music is a universal language, through
Hmm.
song. Like a melody can move you, it can stick with you, and it can just like earlier I was talking about that song Memory from Cats.
Hmm.
Memory, da, 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 da. Like who can forget that melody? And so there are several songs in Olivia O that I think have the similar impact. Um, and if you can correlate that musical, sonic emotion, uh, connect that with a story and a cause, right? Immigrant rights. Learn to see this community as people, as human beings with hopes and dreams like the rest of us. Doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not citizen, if you have documents or no documents. Like at the end of the day, we're all human. And the music is universal. We all, feelings and hopes and dreams are universal. So, I really was drawn deeply into that as we were working on this show. And I was like, yeah, if they can connect with how Olivia is feeling
Hmm.
and, longing for her mother and, I come from a land where volcanoes sleep. I come from, traditions of weaving. I come from, my parents worked hard and they did this. And, it's something that all of us can relate to, when your family is attacked and your culture is attacked. Um, it just made me realize that like, okay, this is a universal story, you know? Um, and that's kind of how I approached all of this.
Hmm.
So, was there a particular story, experience, or moment from the community that really influenced your artistic direction of the show?
Hmm.
I have to say that the response from the first cast that we did in Philadelphia slash New York, for me, like just the I could see them falling in love with the show.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
could see them as in the like I was, I wasn't the director. I wasn't heavily involved in the but I was watching all the rehearsals and everything. I was sitting there in the room watching, and I just saw them falling in love with the characters and falling in love with the show. And that impacted me a lot. And I took their love of the show and what they loved about it and what they wanted from it. I took it seriously, and I was really, like made a big impact on me.
Mhm.
Like I hadn't, that was my dream. I just wanted people to like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, just seeing people, like Ava, who played Olivia, and I think all of our productions except for Dallas, she just really connected with the character right away. She took ownership of it, and she really put her heart and soul and the way that she performed the songs. Um, it really showed how much she understood Olivia. She
yeah,
understood the character in every dramatic moment. Like, she understood what she was going through at every scene, and she put that into her vocalization and her singing.
yeah. And some of the things, some of the cast members, but Jessica, do you remember the things they posted online about it? Like how,
Yeah.
like literally saying this was one of the best roles they've ever had, or that they really cared
Mhm.
about, like things that as a writer, you're just like, oh man, like I just,
Yeah. Yeah, it just made us cry. And I think the Dallas production, which was incredible as well, they gave us a plaque afterward. Like, it was
oh,
a
that was nice.
it
Yeah,
was a it
yeah.
was a framed picture, and they all signed it. And they thanked us. They gave us thank you cards and like this beautiful gift. Like, thank you for allowing us. They said thank you for writing this musical. Thank you for writing this story. It was such an honor to be a part of it. Like, they were so kind to us, and like that's it was like we were like, kind of like on cloud nine. We're like, yeah, that meant a lot to us, for them to be so appreciative and to see how much our musical impacted them and how much joy they got out of being a part of the production. That really touched my heart a lot. That really moved me, and it really showed me like, yeah, this musical has got something. It's speaking to people. It's really moving hearts.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's a special one. It's a very special one.
mm.
So, what aspects of building this production have brought you the most joy so far, and what are your aspirations as Olivia O continues its journey?
Mm.
The joy, just a lot of
Mhm.
joy listening to the music, listening to the songs afterwards, watching the actors, seeing it performed on stage.
Mhm.
Um,
One,
yeah.
oh, really quick, one quick thing,
Hmm.
is Ashley, Diane, remember Ashley?
Yeah, yeah.
She was the daughter of one of my ESL students. I mentioned earlier I worked with the undocumented community for many years here, and one of my ESL students, she had this daughter, and she grew up kind of with me and us in this community, and she was able to play one of the roles in Olivia, and it was very meaningful to have the community that we're talking about, right, them to be a part of this. And her mom would come to every rehearsal. She would pick her up, and she would watch her daughter in this show, and she put so much heart and soul into the role. Um, so she played the part of Maria, right, the deaf,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, the mute one, the one who had been traumatized, so she was mute. She didn't speak because she was so traumatized, but then at the end she sings, and she speaks because she's reunited. So that was a highlight for me,
Hmm.
to see a member of the community be able to participate in the show.
Wow.
Mhm.
I don't have words. Having that representation, it's incredible. And I can't imagine what that must have been like for you, having been a part of her mom's journey from the very beginning all the way to having her daughter part of something that you wrote. I can't imagine what that was like for you.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was nice.
Wow. So, how has your work on Olivia O influenced you both as artists and expanded your perspective on the role that art can play in creating change?
Mm, wow. Yeah. Um, we're perfectly candid. It's been a learning experience for sure. As producing a musical, it's more than just like creativity, right? Like, that's one part of it, which Diane and I like. we rewrote and rewrote and rewrote and just, so that's one part of, but then producing it, like finding the right people, and then dealing with, different personalities, dealing with different work styles. Like people have different ways of approaching musical theater work. So, navigating fundraising, of course, that's a whole other animal. Getting the support of theaters, um, of the local Latino community, um, dealing with the real challenges of trying to put up a musical. You know, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, challenging myself as a person, because Diane and I, we do have goals. We would love a commercial Broadway production. We would love that very much. I think that's our kind of end goal, is to have a Broadway production. But we're clearly not the only people who want that. You know, that's the reality of especially in New York City. There's a lot of people who are trying to do that.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot of people who are trying to do what we're trying to do. A lot of super talented people in this city, um, and so we have to navigate that road, right? Of like, how do we measure up with a competition, or how do we, present work that is, a level ready for Broadway, um, and navigate relationships, I guess is what I'm trying
We're navigating a lot, right?
to.
Like it's how do you create like this is clearly a social justice type of message, but it is Broadway, it's Broadway potential and West End potential and Toronto potential and
Yeah.
global potential, like it's like, and I feel that we've made small little impacts and we have so much more that we want to make. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like it's like the end game, we haven't achieved the end vision yet, right?
Right.
We're that, and that's hard as artists, right? You have to just have the amazing art and tell your stories and do what you want to do and get it out there and okay, push for change, but allow change to happen the way you want it to happen and like navigate
Hmm.
all of that. Like, how do we get this show out there, right? And the political climate going on right now is crazy. Like,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do we as artivists, how do we do that?
Right. It's so hard, and I think that a lot of theaters that I thought would, pick us up, didn't. And I think a lot of people are afraid, as Diane mentioned, in the current political climate with the current president and his administration. They don't support, diversity, equity, inclusion. They don't support anything that says social justice or fighting for your rights, anything that implies exposing some of the inequalities and injustices in our country right now under this administration. They are being, punished, or they're being ostracized. Everybody's worried about losing their funding, losing, grants, and being shut down. And it has happened, right? We
No,
see
it's
around the
real.
country.
It's real. Yeah.
It's very real. So Diane and I, we had to have a reality check, like, is it possible to have a show like this make it to Broadway under the current political climate, which is not immigrant friendly? And there's a big divide in our country right now around immigrant rights, and it's a very sensitive, touchy issue for a lot of people. So that was something that we're still navigating even now, um, which is why we put the focus on community coming together,
Hmm.
that it is possible.
Yeah.
Um, um, So yeah, that was one of the challenges, that we face.
It will probably will be for a long time, but
Yeah,
we that's how it is, right? As if you're an artist and an activist,
yeah.
that's
No,
how it is, right?
it is. Yep.
Yep.
And
So
also,
we,
super quick, sorry if I just
yeah.
may, also the fact that
No.
I'm Latina, and clearly, Diane is not, but she cares very deeply for the issue. There is this concern about, is it completely written by only Latinos, right?
Mhm.
And I believe very strongly in this cross collaboration and joining forces with white allyship and, Jewish allyship and Black allyship, working across cultural and racial lines, to fight for what's right, and like, is it okay for a musical to be written and produced by a multiracial team. And clearly we've done a really good job of that. I'm really proud of what we've created. And I'm always going to be advocating for my community, my people. And I also advocate for allyship. Like we're not going to be progressing if we only stick to ourselves. We have to unite. We have to unite regardless of what color you are, or what class you are. If you're for this, for the advancement of immigrant rights, then, then let's work together.
Preach, preach. So, when you witness the people whose lives have been touched by Olivia O, what do you hope they carry with them permanently? And what lessons do you hope that the world takes away from this show?
Mm. Ooh.
That there could be a better world, maybe that there could be something like we're not always stuck in the BS, like that there's hope, right? That if we do come together, we can do something. Like that vision of a better, again, one of Jessica's song that I love is in this beautiful place, right? There is,
Yeah. Hmm.
there is something beautiful out there and we can,
We just have to find it.
Yeah.
yeah, we have to live it. We have to find it and live it and believe in it. And yeah,
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know, Jessica, there's,
Yeah, 100%, Diane, you nailed it. That's really what we want people to walk away with, a sense of possibility and
Mhm,
hope that, yes, it is, challenging and difficult, but if you come together to fight for what's right, you can make the change
mhm.
that you want to see. We can live in this beautiful place that we want to live in, but we have to work for it. We have to put our differences aside, and we have to come together to work for that. Um, yeah, that's what I want people to walk away from with this musical, is that feeling of hope, like it can be done. I just really quickly, one of my favorite musicals in the last couple of years is Selves. And
Yes.
oh my gosh, like there's so
Yes.
many. I mean, Selves as a woman, I mean, keep marching. And the whole musical just follows her journey of, like, against all odds. It took years and years, but she believed in it, and she was, yeah, successful, and that musical documented all the challenges that it took, and all the hard work that it took to gain women's suffrage, and she did it. So the feeling that I walked away from after seeing Softs is what I want people to walk away from after seeing Olivia O.
Yeah.
Like that, if you could just like watch that
it'll be
musical.
like Mono Obra.
Yeah, yeah. I want
Yeah.
people to walk away singing our
And
songs the
yeah.
way that I walked away singing, Keep Marching, the finale of Suffs. Um,
I think too, what's so special about both the respective shows is that they're both produced by females. One of the incredible people that I look up to, the incredible Caitlin Berg, she
yeah.
was one of the wonderful producers on Suffs, and getting to watch females produce art about real, true female stories. Talk
Yes.
about girl power, because it
Yes.
doesn't get any more powerful than that. And
Yeah.
that is so special. But
100%.
Yeah.
100%. One of our songs that Diane wrote and I
yes.
together is like,
Yeah.
women are
Yeah.
talking and
Women are
getting shit
talking
done.
and getting shit done. Right?
It's like a
Preach. Yes.
women's empowerment song where they're like organizing and passing out flyers, making calls, doing like, yeah, women in the leadership and as heroes, and yeah.
Yeah. So, looking back on everything you have achieved in this industry, what advice would you give your younger selves entering the industry, as well as what advice would you give to writers who hope to raise awareness for important causes through musical theater?
Mm.
Oh, wow. Wow. I think just like I have a certain innate vision, like I'm there, right? I just keep going at things. Um, try to find a way around. There's always going to be people who are naysayers or who don't believe in you or who gatekeep your idea. Like all those kind of obstacles will come up. Um, and you just have to kind of, okay, how do I move around this obstacle?
Mhm.
Like, how do I figure this out? Right? Like, there will be, yeah. So I would tell my younger self to believe in yourself, but just keep going. Like, don't get let someone kind of throw you off your game, right? There's a poem, speaking of poetry, it's called Never Let Anyone Mess with Your Swing. It's about a baseball player who's got a swing, and people come up, oh, maybe, but this swing is hitting it out of the park. Why are you telling me? Why are you messing with it? Like, yeah. So just
Yeah,
that
nice. Love
I
that.
have a vision here. How do I work with it, right? Like,
Yeah, don't give up.
yeah.
Don't give up. That's the message I would say is like if you really want something, the universe will conspire in your favor if you're working towards it and it comes from your heart, from a true place of goodness and concern for others. It will be challenging for sure. It won't be easy. None of this is easy, whether it's creating it or fundraising for it, promoting it. None of it is easy, but it is possible. So I would just say keep going and stay true to yourself, stay true to your goal, and stay true to the vision.
Yeah. Jessica and Diane, thank you so much for joining me on the Inspiration Show. I am in constant awe of your brilliance, your compassion, and your purpose-driven artistry that you're bringing to the world. I'm so endlessly grateful for the opportunity to learn from you and to look up to you and witness your incredible impact that you continue to make. Having you both here was such an honor, and my admiration has only grown stronger for you both. Thank you for your wisdom, your journey, and
Yeah.
your light, and thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Allison.
Allison.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having us.